Alright, so I'm taking a look at the final alphabet animation file. Alright, so first thing I notice is that when everything comes to a stop, they're all scattered. I'd rather prefer, and I think it's logical, so that all the letters settle where it comes back to the word crazy. I mean, it could land maybe closer to the, let's say it began here, and then let's say it can end maybe around, I don't know, closer to here, a little bit closer to the camera, just to break up the scene, you know, instead of here, maybe having it further down here. Or you could just, probably the better idea is to have it all loop back into the default state, which would requires a bit more planning, right? Let me see here. Let's see. So grab all of it, minus. I don't need global controllers. All right. And then I see it stops at 118. Right, and then say you grab all the controllers, again minus the global, and like I taught you guys in class, you can hover over the last frame, middle mouse click and hold, and maybe chuck in about, I don't know, X amount up to here, and then let go, and then hit S. Oh wait, no, not S. Go back to the very first frame where everything began, right? At 0, copy it, meaning that go onto this frame, middle mouse click and hold, drag it all the way around. I'm just going to dump it somewhere around here, right? The reason why is that you need this extra frame for the letters to hop back into position, into default state, maybe around here, just real rough. And then let go of the middle mouse, hit S. As you can see, now we have that same default pose from the very beginning. And obviously it's gonna slide. That kind of looks neato, right? There. So there's at least that should have been done, because as you can see, it's not a lot. But to take it further, what should have been done is not only that, to reposition it back into place so you can always loop it, right, to loop the cycle of the animation, but to go in and you know, start keyframing positions, major positions, so that it looks coordinated and that they do not crash into each other, not just do some you know, lame sliding around, right? I mean, it's kind of neat. I mean, which is different from all the hopping to just slide it. So maybe it wouldn't be so lame to have it slide. But then this area here you need to fix. At the very least, let's see the timing. Right, this is reasonable amount of frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 frames. 22 frames. It's about reasonable, a little under a second. And then to have some key poses, right? And at least especially when it crashes into each other, to look from the kind of overhead view, right? And then to also look at the graph editor, right? You see how they all converge over here like that. See, they're all converging. And to go in and start messing with the COG, right? They're all easing in all the major controllers. So that's one aspect. The other aspect I have issue with is the fact that just the bare minimum was animated, meaning the like limbs. For example, let's take the Z, right? Oh, the other, before I even get there, I stated that when animating, right, doing this, it may initially look like it's fine, but it's not, because you know I see the breaking the tangents and making strong arcs, but then these are more like the important high points, right? Contact, high point, contact, and things like this. It should have its own major keyframe. I talked about this numerous times. The only time I said this is good to do, right, is for small, subtle, micro movements. For like a bit of a settle, where kind of the energy dies out, but not when it's major movements. Because these contact points up here, you know, they're important in the sense that to help break up the timing between the initial takeoff and the afterwards the landing, right? So you can kind of squeeze. And also if you have a high point, you can have it so that there's a moving hold in the air where it can stall in the air longer, right? So this, I said not to do this. This is like, this is fine over here, right? I see it here. Maybe perhaps you thought that why does it matter? But yeah, these are bad habits. Only time, like I said, to do this is for micro movements, you know, to use a moving hold to generate these things. But like this one over here, right? So let's say I want to have him stall in the air longer. So what I do is I grab all the controllers, right? I do see that it's clean, which is good. And I'm gonna just go in here, grab, say, all of this, right? Literally all of that. And then let me see here. You have going on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. So let's say I want to stall in the air for, I don't know, 3 frames. So I go 1, 2, 3. Right, and I just hold shift and I move with the middle mouse. Let it snap and move. Then with this guy right here, since I have already a major keyframe going on, right? And I said I wanted to have a stall for 3 frames up in the air. So you grab this one here, all the controllers are selected, middle selected here, middle mouse, click and hold, 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, something got left behind. What got left behind? Right? Let me undo some of that. Something looks strange. Yeah. Some keyframes got left behind. And I also talked about this too before, about straggling keyframes. So I showed in the videos as well as live in class, you select from the left column. Then let's say this is the high bound, right? The high point, right here, that you had set a keyframe for the up, right here, this guy right there, see? So go back in with all this highlighted, grab the ones after the fact, which is here, the contact point, landing. And the whole point is that since we have this high point here for the up, highest arc, right, I can use that as a point of reference and to copy those frames. But then going back to this right here, I'm just gonna 1, 2, 3, drag it over. And you see how no keyframes got left behind. Hence the reason why I oftentimes talked about this, highlighting it here. Because when it leaves behind straggling keyframes, you know, it will confuse the heck out of you, the animator. Anyways, this guy right here, going back to this high point, 1, 2, 3. Middle mouse, I dragged it, hit S. So this caused a stall in the air, a bit of a hang time, right? I just grabbed the COG because that's the main driving force. Maybe I'll fix this up. Right, just do that for a bit. Grab the Y. Right, here's the Y. And then I can do this. I can do that. Touch up on this. And it's not a problem because it's broken tangents. So it won't stress me out making corrections. There. So there's that, like I said, there's a dual purpose for this, that we can break up the timing and create moving holds. Not just not moving holds, but break up the timing where it can stall in the air more and make it unpredictable. So if I go back, right here, see, it did not move in the Z. So I go to the Z, and here's that stall right here. From here to here. So all I do, again, this is why I say to do things like this, because it forces students to go in and challenge themselves and clean up the graph editor and tune it nicely, right? I've shown out this in the videos that I made, every single videos about cleaning up the curve. Right there. So it goes here. Maybe go to the back to the Y. Maybe I can just try to increase that. Maybe I can just grab even this one and maybe lift it higher for a bit, just so it kind of breaks up the fact that it looks very similar, like not moving too much. Make it a little bit higher, slightly higher. And then go back to the translate Z and Z, right here, this one. Oh, this should be moving. Yeah, this should be moving. Why isn't that moving? That was weird. Yeah, okay, now it's working. See, there. It's a bit of a... And this one right here, go back to the Y. At this one, maybe crank it higher. So you feel more of that visual pop. And it feels much stronger and more flowing. And then maybe grab the Z, right here to here. Maybe, oh, this needs to be says going back in space. Right, so I can go something like, maybe even just to flatten tangents, do something like this. Right, so that way you can break up the tangents. But it's weird though, it's going back, and then, but it's going back mid-air, and then going forward on the landing of that mid-air. So things like this needs to be pulled. Something's off with this. maybe see, it's going lateral, but in reality this is not possible because it's going sideways and then forward. The trajectory, if it's going this way, it has to land this way. It cannot do what it's doing now for this guy. Anyway, so that there's that. Also in the beginning, there's no anticipation. It just goes straight into, there's a subtle movement, but it's not enough for the audience to register it, right? It needs to generate this much energy. You need to have a squash, you know. There's a subtle little movement, right? But this here, like I said, you need to generate the energy. Like it needs a squash. Yeah. So, and then for every hop as well, the other issue I had was this. For example, these lower guys, they barely have any keyframes, you know. Well, they initially did, but after I completely stopped. So if I grab this, I go to say, you know, like something like here. The time should have been taken to do things like this. So it kind of squashes, you know. And then when it goes up, see, there's no, this is why I say to grab all the controllers and set the keyframes. So that the secondary controllers, I know where to put the secondary actions, like right here. Like, so it's going up, lands, like that, on the up, maybe grab this, pull it up like that, you know, and then grab this, maybe set the object, yeah, object, like pull it up like that. Right. Yeah, for the, when it lands, it should have a couple of frames when it lands, so you can squash and absorb the impact. Because right now it's just contact, bounce, contact, bounce, contact, bounce, right? There should be at least like 2 frames for each contact, so you can absorb the energy for the squash to have the amount of frames needed for the contact going into the squash, right? So a lot of those things are missing as well. Like it's more work could have been done, should have been done. Yeah, especially with the secondary limbs, right? Because these are great opportunities to animate the secondary limbs, but they're not. Anyway, I gotta move on. So that's the end of that. I have to grade accordingly. Alright, bye.